Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTubers. This is Jerry Diamond with How to Get Out of Babylon. I just hit the button by accident, so I'm going to go ahead and run with it. Okay, so I'm in my office. Uncle C. No, sorry. Back in the office. Yeah, office. My laundromat. Sorry, that's irritating. Everything is rigged. The game is rigged. The stack is decked. The deck is stacked. The house is crooked. Ain't that the truth? All right, listen. I'm doing videos on grounding, and this is so important that I thought I wanted to make a point. And I'm going to read a little bit from the book, and maybe I'll read the whole book. Maybe I'll make it a Patreon project for the first time in my life. I was trying to read it to Bill, and he had a big cup of tea and he spilled it on it, so now got it pretty well. I got it dried out pretty much. I mean, it's dry, and the pages turned. It didn't stick them together, fortunately. They didn't, like gooey, slick pages, they would have stuck and glued them together, and it would have been tearing it apart. So, main thing is I wanted to make a point, because then I want to go into how to make your own grounding products. Okay. So, where's the pause button? The pause button is there. Okay, let me look through this book of you and pull out some salient points. All right, I'm back. I had to find a pen. You have any idea how hard that is? I've got 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 pens with styluses on them. I use them a lot, and I have 2 that I carry all the time, and I can't find either one of those. I couldn't find a pen. It took me about 10 minutes. Okay. Very well organized, yeah. Small trailer, nowhere to put anything. All right, so I'm going to read some quotes of recommendations, advertisements for this advertisements. So, earthing ranks right up there with the discovery of penicillin. This book is probably the most important health read of the 21st century. That's Anne Louise Gittleman, author of The Fat Flush Plan. And I pointed out before, the first edition said, earthing, the most important health discovery ever, ? There's no question mark now. There have been so many medical studies done, it's mind-boggling. Neonatal resuscitation, NICU wards, they put 26 infants on, grounded them, and they improved immediately, dramatically, like I think it was 46% or something. Watch the movie and it talks about them. One of the most impressive things in the movie. In fact, it was this 2 people were examining all the studies, and they're like, this is the most impressive study they had run across. Okay. Shut up, Jerry. No, don't shut up. Don't fall off, book. This book's going to be beat to hell by the time I get done with it. Earthing may be as fundamental as sunlight, air, water, and nutrients. May the ground be with you. May the force be with you. That's a good one. Gary E. Schwartz, PhD, University of Arizona, professor of psychology and medicine, author of The Energy Healing Experiments. Good guy. People have lost touch with the earth. From a biblical perspective, people who lose touch with the earth lose touch with God. Earthing reconnects us to the planet, to others, and in a sense to God. So if you get grounded, you're going to be more in better touch with God. And I will tell you this, I have been praying outside, standing barefoot with my hands lifted to heaven, an antenna between earth and heaven. And I went out there, the first night I did it, the first night I did it, I had an answer. Things started happening in my life, and then one day I did it up front of the trailer, and I stood out there and I prayed for a particular individual. And I'd gone in and I'd sent about stuff about grounding. And that same night, the person just happened to get on Facebook and told me, yes, thinking about calling you. Hasn't happened yet, but I mean, it was amazing coincidence. G, what an amazing coincidence. Capital G, capital W, capital A, capital C, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. I call him G-Wax. This is what I call him, sorry. gee, what an amazing coincidence, okay, that she called me or wrote me the same night. I mean, within minutes of me having gone out and prayed for her specifically, that Father would touch her heart and move her. So, amazing stuff, just amazing stuff. And I've seen that repeatedly now. So pray grounded, pray earth, pray grounded, bare skin on bare earth. Pray barefoot. Okay, that was by Gabriel Cousins, who's kind of a new agey guy, but author of Spiritual Nutrition. People have lost touch with the earth. From a biblical perspective, people who lose touch with the earth lose touch with God. Earthing reconnects us to the planet, to others, and in a sense to God, to the universe. Yeah, that's a pretty good statement. Here's a neat one. Most people want the most health benefits for the least amount of work. This is it. Earthing gives you more benefits for the least work. There is no work. All you got to do is just be grounded, sleep, walk, stand. Are you going to do those anyway? You might as well be grounded. David Avocado Wolf, author of the Superfoods, the Food and Medicine of the Future. Superfoods. We got to get back to superfoods. That's another thing I want to do is the lost superfoods. Look that up. Start really reading it. I'm going to get to it when I can, as soon as I can, as much as I can. The lost superfoods. You can make your own superfoods. They're long shelf life. Don't need to be refrigerated. Don't need to be frozen. Don't need to be dehydrated. Some of them are dehydrated, but they don't need to be smoked or whatever. Some of them are smoked. They don't need refrigeration, and they have a long-term shelf life. Superfoods, nutrient-dense, really good foods. From the Civil War, from St. Petersburg, siege of Leningrad, Civil War, Great Depression, from Bosnia, all over the world. Okay. Hormonal imbalances are so prevalent among women. Earthing has a profoundly beneficial effect in helping to balance the system and reduce symptoms. Amanda Ward, Ensenada, California. I guess she didn't write a book. Earthing connects us to nature, and nature is the ultimate source of health and healing. This book is a manual for one of nature's great healing secrets. John Gray, author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I'm sorry, I roll my eyes. No, women are from Mars. Women are more like. Sorry. Just what I'm going through. Okay, there may be nothing more basic or universal for healing people than earthing. Getting reconnected to the earth should be the new human vocation. Jed Diamond, my namesake, author of Stress Relief for Men: How to Use the Revolutionary Tools of Energy Healing to Live Well. I'm sure you got something about that in the book. The feedback from patients is now so strong that I know predictably, as a doctor, this will change a person's life. David Gersten, author of Are You Getting Enlightened or Losing Your Mind? Earthing has been a huge boost for me in the recovery process from injuries and exhaustion. I've been able to come back a lot stronger and feel a lot better. Now get this one. Chris Lieto, 3-time Ironman triathlete champion. After a near-death accident, I was told I may never walk again, let alone run. However, by going barefoot, I was able to flip the on switch to perfect health. Thanks in large part to earthing, I have been able to run miles a day, pain-free and filled with joy. Michael Sandler, co-author of Barefoot Running and Barefoot Walking. Michael Sandler, Barefoot Walking and Barefoot Running, author of. Okay, so then I want to skip ahead to Clint Obear, Stephen Sinatra's chapter. There's a couple of chapters from Clint's point of view, how he got into it and his story. I'm going to read the book, I think. I don't see how I cannot read it. It's so important. And Stephen Sinatra. So this is how they first met from Stephen's point of view. In 2001, I was invited to speak at an electromedicine conference in San Diego. That's where I met Clint Obear. He had just completed the second study of how grounding affects cortisol and stress, and he was interested in discussing his research with a cardiologist who had an interest in electromedicine. That's him. He looked me up at the conference. We talked a while, and I was immediately intrigued by his concept. Afterward, we met in his RV and talked in more detail. There was another medical doctor present, as well as a researcher who had developed a cuff to measure blood vessel elasticity. The researcher had his device with him, and he used it to test our individual elasticity. You want your arteries to be good and elastic. Rigid, constricted blood vessels are symptomatic of high blood pressure and arterial disease. And of course, they break easier, they split, they leak, they blow up, aneurysms, whatnot, embolisms. My reading was good, but Clint's was enviously better. He was about 2 years older than me, so I was very impressed. I remember thinking, how could this guy have a better result than me? Here I was, a big prevention medicine doctor, health doctor, who wrote books and newsletters about healthy lifestyle. Clint said in his usual soft-spoken voice that he believed the results had to do with the fact that he grounded himself all the time. He always slept grounded and he walked barefoot whenever possible. Clint also shared with me his frustration with the medical and scientific community that had shown little or no interest in grounding. He was having a hard time getting a foot inside the door of science. Talk about a door. If anything, I felt like a door to a new healing frontier had been pulled open by the most unlikely of individuals. Over my decades of practicing medicine, I had heard countless inspiring talks from the greatest and most honored medical experts, doctors, scientists, professors, Nobel Prize winners. Clint Ober was none of those. He was just a cable TV guy, the cable guy, I love that, who had made a discovery he felt could help alleviate suffering. I was impressed by his integrity and his intentions. He was somebody with a mission. I felt he was onto something very important and fundamental, with great potential not just for cardiology, but also for the healing community at large. He had just a bare beginning of scientific evidence to back up his observations. Nevertheless, as a cardiologist, it made a lot of sense to me. In addition, my intuition was telling me this was big and exciting and on the mark. For years, I had been doing a lot of research and writing about antioxidants. In my cardiac practice, I had found that antioxidant nutritional supplements such as CoQ10, very expensive, gave a clinically significant healing boost to my patients. I was curious as to whether there was an antioxidant and inflammation connection to Clint's discovery. And he was the one that told Clint, start looking at it. If this helps pain, you need to start looking at inflammation and doing studies on inflammation. There's like 30,000 studies maybe per year published on inflammation alone. It's a new critical thing that all aging things are fueled or caused or exacerbated by inflammation. All the and most of the autoimmune diseases, aging diseases, the quote of getting old, aging, are inflammation related. Just a year or so before, Harvard researchers had published strong evidence to show that chronic inflammation was the leading cause of arterial disease that chokes off blood, nutrients, and oxygen to the heart and brain, resulting in heart attacks and stroke. I've had 3 of those, 1 heart attack and 2 strokes. So inflammation and antioxidants were on my mind when I met Clint. I asked him about inflammation. Could grounding reduce inflammation? If it did, grounding might represent a new weapon against heart disease, the #1 disease killer in America, and many other common conditions linked to inflammation. I didn't know the answer. Clint didn't know. I asked if he could find out. He said he would, and he did, pretty much on his own at first, and then later with the help of a terrific biophysicist, James Oshman. There's a chapter in here by James Oshman. Okay, my voice is going, so I can't do anymore. I have water around here somewhere. Hang on. Let me pause this.